Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome back to my page. I want to thank everyone that has already subscribed. Thank you for all your feedback. And I wanted to come on here because I have been getting a lot of requests about what started me on this health journey. Like, why clean eating? Why are you so into your labels? Well, that's a great question. And as I had touched a little bit in my first video, with it started with my Hashimoto, with not mine because I'm not claiming it, but with the Hashimoto's that I am battling and I am winning, along with menopause. So it was a combination of things, but let me just give you the backstory because I know that there's someone that hopefully will watch this video and you'll hopefully get some answers because you're probably going through something and you don't understand what, because that's how I was. I honestly thought I was going crazy. I thought that I was just lost, to be honest with you. So it started at the tail end of 2021, where stuff was happening and I didn't recognize who I was. I just couldn't put my finger on it. And then in the beginning of 2022, every year I start my year with the fast, for 21 days. And in the beginning of that year, I clearly heard the Lord tell me he wanted me to fast from alcohol. Now, hold on. I'm not a raging alcoholic or anything, but I do enjoy, a glass of wine, martini here and there, but it was just very clear that for 21 days, I wasn't going to have a drop of alcohol. And I was like, okay. Well, 2 weeks in, my husband and I were sitting on a Sunday morning having our coffee, and I just broke down. I started crying, and I just started to tell him everything that I was feeling, and I was just so sad, and I couldn't understand why. I told him about my fast and how I had given up alcohol, and I told him, and I just want to drink so bad. I just want one drink. And he's looking at me like, what? I said, I just want to feel happy. I want to feel joy. And it was in that moment that I heard the Lord tell me, and that's why I took it from you, so that you could choose me and not that. And I just wept because I was like, oh my gosh, like, he loves me that much, And I know that we're all guilty of this. We sometimes we turn to things that will temporarily give us some comfort, but we're not getting to the root, right? And that's honestly what probably would have happened. I mean, I'd probably be a raging alcoholic right now because I would have just continued to maybe just have a drink here and there to numb whatever it is that I was feeling, because I didn't recognize it. See, I'm typically a very easygoing, happy, very compassionate, forgiving, loving type of person. And that's just not who I was anymore. I had no tolerance for people. I couldn't even stand my own shadow at times. I wasn't safe to be around. In fact, I isolated myself and stayed away from a lot of people because I didn't trust what was going to come out of my mouth. I had no filter. I already am the type of person that wears my emotions on my sleeve. I can't hide it, but at least I can control what comes out of my mouth. But during that season, I couldn't. There was things that I would say that I would even hurt myself, so it was pretty bad, but I didn't know what was going on. So I went to my doctor. I can't remember if I just had my physical with like my, yearly pap, and I was sharing things with him. And so he's like, I'm going to run tests. I have a feeling you're like maybe premenopausal. And I'm like, oh, okay. Premenopausal. Like, I'm 48. I was 48 at the time. Long story short, my test came back and he's like, oh no, you're in the thick of menopause. And I was like, what? I was like, no, I don't even have hot flashes at the time. He's like, that's okay, sweetie. He's like, there's, I don't know, like 37 symptoms, if not more, and you don't get all of them. So I was like, okay. So I was like, I remember going home and he wanted to put me on, estrogen and just put me on hormones. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait. I'm going to just see what my options are out there. And he's like, okay, well, then you're going to keep suffering kind of thing. Cause and I wasn't sleeping. So just picture you not sleeping for like 5-6 days straight. You start like losing your mind, So I was not sleeping. I was gaining crazy weight, losing my figure no matter what I did to exercise. See, I mean, I've never been overweight, but I've never been super, super skinny, but I've been able to maintain my weight or my physique. And I just had no control. No matter what I did, I was losing my figure in ways that I was like, what is happening? So it was that, it was the mood swings, it was not sleeping, it was I did have hot flashes. Let me see. Gosh, I actually wrote some stuff down. I want to make sure that I come on here and I'm super organic, but there are things that I want to make sure that I don't leave out. But anyways, so I had, anxiety. I was like suffering a little bit of anxiety, headaches. I normally don't have headaches, and I was getting headaches. Let me see, irregular heart rate, let me see. There's just a lot of shortness of breath. So that was happening. And then one night, boom, the hot flashes came. Like, it was over. That was it. Hot flashes were awful. But something still didn't feel right. I was like, okay, I get menopause. And I started just really reading up on it. A great book to read is by Susan Summers, and it's the I'm gonna find it and I'll put it in the description so you guys could have it. But it was an amazing book that opened my eyes to our hormones and to the changes that don't just take place when you're going through menopause, but also, during your menstrual cycle, during puberty, and how so many people get lost during those seasons of their life, because as human beings, we're dismissive to those times, to the time of the month, or to when our kids are going through puberty, and those are real feelings. And I mean, I just learned so much. So with that being said, something wasn't right. My work was really suffering. My relationships were suffering. I met with a really good friend of mine, and I just broke down, and I told her why I wasn't coming around the office, what was happening. And she referred me to the wellness center in Redlands that she was going to. And she was like, whatever you have to do, you have to go. And she's probably going to kill me for this, but I'm going to say she actually paid for my one of my tests that were, they're pretty expensive because everything's cash. But I knew that I needed answers. So I went there and came back that yes, I was in the thick of menopause. So she confirmed it, but then she was like, I feel like there's just more, and I really want to run a whole blood panel on you, see if your MD will do it so that you don't have to pay out of pocket. And she gave me the list, and thank goodness that my doctor, my Western medicine doctor, he's game. He was like, whatever, I'll do, I'll check your test, I'm sure you're fine, but he did it because there's a lot of doctors out there that won't. They just, it's like, no, well, there's no need for that, whatever. So anyhow, he ran my whole panel. On the surface, my thyroids, everything, T3, everything looked normal, but my TPO was extremely through the roof. And he's like, oh, you have Hashimoto's. I'm like, Hashi, what? What the heck is that? And so he explained it, tried to give me some medication. I said, no, I'm going to consult with a naturopathic doctor that I'm consulting with, and then I'll get back to you. And he was like, okay, do whatever you feel you have to do, So I went back to Pamela at the wellness center, and sure enough, she confirmed after running some other tests that I was not only in the thick of menopause, but I also had Hashimoto's. And the one thing that she told me is look, Martha, Doctors will tell you that Hashimoto's is for life, but the truth is, she goes, that it is reversible. And it's up to you. You have to be your own advocate. You have to fight. And the way that you're going to be able to take control of it is through supplements, natural supplements, diet, and exercise. But the most important key is going to be your foods, your ingredients. You have to stay away from gluten. You have to stay away from corn. And she started to explain things to me, gave me some homework, and I went to work. And so the supplements that I do take for my thyroid is the EcoThyro 37. Again, this is for me. This doesn't work for everyone. Consult with your own doctor, your own naturopathic doctor, whoever you consult with for your own regimen if you are battling Hashimoto's or any thyroid condition or even menopause. So this is what I take. I also take iodine. I take adrenal. I take my fish oil. I take magnesium. I take vitamin D3. For menopause, she has me on the progestin drops and the myomin, and the rest is all diet. The majority, I will tell you, is the ingredients in our food was a game changer because I mean, with Hashimoto's, I mean, my hair with the texture, the coldness. So not only was I battling like super sensitive to cold, but then the hot flashes came. So I would go from like super cold to sweating, and the brittle nails. My nails have always been really thick and long, and they're super brittle. The brain fog, the forgetfulness, the fatigue. Oh my gosh. I've never been a napper, and I would nap. I mean, nap. The depression was ridiculous. And let me tell you, I remember growing up around depressed people and used to think, how in the heck can you be depressed? Like, you have life to live. Like, how could you be depressed? And then I found myself in a really depressed state many years ago in such a deep, dark hole that I was like, whoa, like this is real. So I know the signs and I know how to try to combat it, you know, and just call on the Lord and just, you know, but it was real. I was battling major depression. And there was just so many things that were like so out of whack that I was like, there is no way. Like, I choose health. And the minute I started to change the ingredients in our food and really watch what we eat, I noticed a huge difference. Yes, I hired a personal trainer for accountability and to just help me, you know, take it to that next notch. But I'll tell you, the majority was my food. And just learning how to make swaps, right? Like, so for Hispanic families, you know, our culture, like flavor is everything, especially in our Mexican rice. And that was a huge deal. Like, how the heck am I going to make my rice? Because we're really picky. And chicken bouillon is like the seasoning. Well, I learned to replace it with better than bouillon. Now, you can't just use this. You have to do trial and error. So I found other things to make my rice just as flavorful, where my family doesn't complain. And just like, you know, I made chile rellenos, I posted that, the cookies, you know, it's just different things, and you just have to be willing. Is it costly? Yes. But you know what costs more is your health and not being healthy. And so, like I mentioned before in one of my videos, it's a slow transition. I would start with your ingredients, your seasonings, and just go from there little by little. You know, pots are a big deal too. Right now I am in the midst of swapping out some of my pots and pans. Although I do have pots that are non-toxic that I've had for 30 years, right?